almost for 70, 80 years. Arvindo lived. So that the lifespan of the body depends on the past karma. That is why I got this body. So now see that what happens listening, listening, listening. What you are listening? Listening these from the teacher or studying and contemplating. So what happens? The listening takes knowledge to the mind. First, it starts from the ear, and from the ear, the listening takes knowledge to the mind. If the mind is pure, it is inspired and takes it to the intellect. Intellect follows contemplation and reflection. So, when intellect follows the contemplation and reflection, the viveka dawns. Viveka takes mind to the next level. Mind now realizes what is real and unreal. Think of one example I always give. There are people, highly intelligent, genius, one amongst millions, but they don't have a knowledge that there is a real self which is of the nature of permanent peace and happiness. At least let me start thinking. See that. So that is why we say listening is extremely important. Shravanam. First step, I don't know, let me know it. Do I know that I have a center of permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom? Please listen to it. And listening again and again and again. If you have the past impression, it will trigger you. Even if you don't have the past impression, you can your mind starts thinking. So it means when the mind it becomes pure means it leaves the world outside and it says, okay, this crazy guy says that permanent peace is within me. Yes, it is within me. And when the mind is not thinking of any object outside of the world, I find myself peace. You see, the wisdom awakens. Oh, so this is and that is, this is and inside. So the Viveka awakens in you. Yes. Now question, many people hears the talking, but but they hear it, they do not understand. Why they do not understand? Because of the impurity of the mind. So what they need to listen to it again and again and again, again and again and again, to make the things clear. That is what is happening. So now the intellect follows the contemplation and reflection. You enter into Viveka. The first time you understand that there is nothing required. I can simply separate. Here is a wall, and here I am. Here is a body, and I am different from the body. At least that understanding, information plus understanding is there in the mind. Now, what happens? Pain occurs in the body, and the mind says, am I the body? No. You get a flash. Oh, Viveka takes mind to the next level. What is real? What is unreal? What is desired? What is not desired? So then what happens? You see that? So as you continue to see, oh, this is real, this is unreal, this is me, this is not me, what happens? What is that state known as in the mind? It is vairagya, dispassion. So vairagya takes root in the mind. I don't want to be angry because now I realize I don't want to be agitated. I don't want to be upset. whatever is happening in the world, because the world is different and separate from me. So now you are continuing, you are still listening, and you are reflecting, you are reflecting. Then what happens? You find, you discover calmness and peace enters the mind, inside and outside, with the world of people, place, and the things. So what happens? By all the processes that I explained above, you experience sama, peace, the first of the six treasures. Now, when you start living into that state, viveka and vairagya continues. That leads to sama, the first treasure. First time I realized, my goodness, without doing anything, I see the calmness and peace is within me. And that enters the mind. That enters the pure mind, if I say so. So then what happens? When the sama enters, you are calm and peace. Previously, you saw something and the sense organs saw something, felt something. It is attracted to the things outside. Now you are not attracted. Why? Because you were searching calmness and peace in your life, but now you feel that calmness and peace. So second treasure takes root, Dhamma. Now Sama and Dhamma takes root, and you start living almost as if you are living above the society. Society is unconscious. Society means collective people. Not all the people have the same state of the mind. They mix up. They cause attachment and detachment, but now you have started living above the society, the family, professional life. You are doing everything, nitya and naimitya karma, but still you are living above. So, what the third treasure takes place? Oparati. Now, all the first three treasures, if you look closely, you see the kind of a detachment. A detachment somehow. You're not interested, you're not getting agitated, you are not running after, you are doing your work, you are creative, everything is happening. You see, first three treasures are known as a natural state of detachment from the world. Now you see the importance of vairagya and viveka. Now, what the mind will do if you are detached to all the crazy stuff of the world? So, the next three treasures are attachment. Attachment to what? Attachment to real self. What? The mind still, because of the past impressions coming from the causal body, and the mind says, no, 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 I must have it. But now, you are already living in sama, dhamma, and uparati, then the mind says, no, let me hold back, let me tolerate, let me create a stamina, let me create an endurance. No, 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 I don't want to go into the same hell again. I don't want to get angry and upset. So Titiksha, the fourth treasure. And once you have the fourth treasure, then what happens? Now the attachment to the real self begins. What is that attachment to the real self? It is Shraddha, it is faith, nothing else. It is faith. Now you have a tremendous faith in the real self. I have done this, I have seen this. Nothing happens being angry, agitated, upset, stressed, running mind with millions of the thoughts. No, 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 no. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm going to my real self. There is something within me. So Shraddha, Shraddha. And then what happens? Shraddha leads to Samadhanam, the sixth treasure. Now you have Viveka. Now you have Vairagya. Now you have all the six treasures. So, where the mind will go? I want to know what is this real self. I want to be with it. I want to live into that state. So, you continue listening, continuing the practice. You have an intense aspiration. Intense aspiration. Uh, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvak Itaresham. Vivekananda, Shankara, Maharshi Raman, Aurobindo, and many great masters. My master left the house at the age of 11, went to the Himalayas. So can you figure out that were they super intelligent? No. It was pulled by the previous impressions from the causal body. So these people are known as Prakriti Laya and Videha. Prakriti Laya means their mind is not being attracted, causing any attachment or detachment to the world outside. They are already in the state of Viveka and Vairagya. That is why they could achieve the highest in short period of time. If I assume the Buddha started the journey of the sadhana at the age of 37, 38, if he got enlightenment in 40 at the age of 49 minus 6 years of austerity, 43, so we can say he started the journey at the age of 37, 40. So it does not mean that he was less important than Arvindo or Krishna. No, you reach to the same goal. But again, impressions. You had that inclination, you left it, and you started again. That is what happened to the Buddha. Now is the time. His father said, now is the time, my son. You are a prince. You take over the kingdom. Buddha said, I will definitely take over the kingdom provided you solve my problem. What is your problem? I should never die once I become the king. I should not suffer from any illness if I take over the kingdom. Are you ready, my dad? Who says in the morning? No, that is not possible. Then I'm not taking over. I'm not doing it. So, what it shows, there is a trigger from the causal body. Good impressions, uh, moving towards the self-discovery. See that? So again, we should keep in mind this causal body has good impressions, and causal body has so-called bad impression that makes me involved into the world. So now going little deeper into this, we have understood that this mind has four functional aspects: mind and the memory, and the intellect and the ego. Ego sits in the intellect, memory sits in the mind. Can we say that memory, finding the suitable condition, triggers itself? Can we say that memory is also part of the causal body? Yes. Not only the current memory and the past. So it triggers in the mind. So now what happens? The mind is not aware that there is a real self because you have not heard it, because you have not studied it, because the mind is not going anywhere. When the mind does not know if there is a real self, then I'm living with pain and pleasure, duality, conflict. huh? Mind does not know the treasure, then what should I do? I identify myself with the world. When I identify myself with the world, already we have an impression because of which we have taken this current birth. Because of the causal body, I have taken the new birth. and it contains all the impressions. It needs to be exhausted. So I continue to live my life. So you see the importance of listening from a teacher or studying these. So then what happens? Normal trend of all the religion is to reject. Normal trend. That is a normal trend. They give a rule: do's, don'ts, virtue, vice, sins, no sins. If you do this, you are a sinner. If you don't do this, then you enter into the kingdom of God. A normal rule. So, what happens if you follow that normal rule? Still, the mind rejects, mind opposes. Why the mind opposes? Because of the past impressions. It wants to continue the cycle. So, that works rarely, one amongst millions, because your mind is not ready to reject. So we found a good system of yoga. Yoga says empty the mind, don't reject, don't accept. Leave both of them. Don't try to suppress the mind. You see the journey, how the yoga was discovered. Oh, let's just empty the mind. And when you empty the mind and you continue to live into that state of meditation, the knowledge will reveal itself. If the mind is empty, something will definitely enter from inside. And what will enter? The real self, its knowledge, its understanding. So the mindfulness and meditation. But in between both of them, the religious practices and meditation, there comes another thing. So there comes, that is what we say, the bhakti yoga. So what we say in bhakti yoga, you are the God, image of a God. Let me worship, let me respect, let me request that you take over all the sins of my life. So what happens? A kind of love towards the God takes place. And that love towards the God is different between the love between the husband and a wife, love between the father and the daughter, love between friend and the friend. What is that difference? Difference is simple, that even if I love my wife or a husband, I remain two. But when I love God, I feel a kind of oneness. Why I feel the kind of oneness? Because God is within me. You see, so that tool is also there in different religions. No doubt. So that has been very well refined as the path of emotion, the bhakti yoga. But the ultimate goal is to transcend the mind. Meditation reveals the knowledge of the real self, no doubt, but I have still to work. If I go beyond the mind, the real self takes over my life. So, see, the entire process has been summarized in Vivek Vairagya Shat Sampatti, six treasures. Now, we go directly to these six treasures. That is our step number 11. So our master says it is the ego in the intellect hides the six treasures coming from the real self. It is already present. It is already present inside me, but it hides. Who hides? Ego. What is that ego? Ego identifies with the body, mind, intellect, ego thoughts, and pleasure seeking mind. From where it has come? From the impressions that I have stored. So, what I'm doing, I'm loosening the impressions of the causal body. So, ego in the intellect hides the six treasures. Now, allow the intellect to work with wisdom. What is that wisdom? Well, if I don't allow the intellect to work in my day to day life, I'm not upset. Why I'm not upset? Because the peace is already within me. Then what happens? You see the process. What will happen into the intellect? Ego, no. Why should I say anything to this? Why should I react? Your mind starts reflecting on that. When you don't, it starts reflecting. What happens? What is the opposite? You become humble. You realize, ego, you are making me crazy. You are making me upset. It is only because of you I become upset. I become agitated. I become angry. I have lot of thoughts. So you become humble, huh? And you realize that becoming crazy over anything in the world will take me far from the discovery. So, what is happening now? Now, intellect works with the humility, with the kindness. So, it is an antidote to ego, opposite of you. So, what the now Viveka and the Vairagya says, huh? Viveka and Vairagya in the mind is already settled. So, the mind says, I'm helping you and you are making me crazy, ego. I'm not supporting you, not supporting you. So then what, why I'm not supporting you? Then what happens? See that? I'm not supporting you, ego. I have a big house, no ways, not supporting. Let, yeah, big house be there. Let me live into it. But why should I identify with it? I'm smarter than you. Why should I strengthen this thought? I have a good position. Why should I strengthen this thought? The mind melts. Mind becomes very, very soft. So here I give an example. Does the air say to you that, see, I'm helping you breathe? Independent. Does the space says that, I'm helping you to move? If there is no space, I cannot move, I cannot speak, I cannot do anything. Does the water say that I'm helping you drink? No. Does the sun says I'm giving you light? Are they charging any bill? Sending the bills to you? No. Oh, then why should I have this ego? I cannot live without earth, these five elements, including sun, excluding sun. Then ego. So you see that by understanding, by clarity, your ego drops. How? You started the journey with Viveka Vairagya. So that is the first part we should understand. The ego in the intellect hides the six treasures from uh, the coming from the real self. Second part is the impurity in the mind prevents the six treasures. Do you remember? Desire, attachment, no, object, attachment, desire, delusion, pride means ego, and jealousy. So all the six takes me to loss of memory, loss of intelligence, and then I live into the delusion that is known as Maya, and the Maya leads me to ignorance. Ignorance causes me the suffering. I am strengthening the causal body. I am giving more inputs to the body. Come on, get in, become bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I continue to suffer. Because the greater the causal body, I'm in adding the impressions, millions of the thoughts, no time for the mind to have a viveka and the vairagya. That is the meaning of the impurity in the mind. No, no, no time, no place. So I enter into more and more problem. Take one example. I don't like what my honey is doing, but I cannot say it. So first I go to the office, my mind is still thinking. My mind is still thinking, today I will guide her. You should not do like this. You should act like this. Again, another thought. Now, if she does not agree, I will take a divorce. If she does not agree, I will fight with her. Unnecessary thoughts are there. This is what the causal body is. It is not hidden. It is not hidden. It is the here and now. It is here and now when the way my mind is thinking. So when we explain it, we say that there is a physical body, then there is a subtle body. So subtle body means it is subtle. It does not mean that it cannot be known. If it cannot be known, these masters have not written that. So when we say causal body, yes, it is known in day-to-day life. Here and now, through my thoughts, through my feeling, through my actions, through my emotions, my mind is crazy causal body. Simple. Why crazy? Millions of thoughts. Why I have millions of thoughts? Ask yourself why I have so unnecessary, unwanted thoughts enters into my mind. Why? So when
Desire.
you examine closely, it is because of the six enemies. So it is there. Causal body is working on me. What Viveka, Vairagya, Shat, Sampatti, six treasures do? They bypass. They said, okay, hold on. They are killing, they are dissolving, they are destroying. So that is why we say listening, Shravanam, contemplation, listening from a teacher or studying the text, contemplation and reflection brings the clarity and conviction. So now I am listening, then awakens the mind with the right perception. Right by I am separating what is not desired and what is desired. It is easy to separate what is not desired. Why? What is not desired is there in the mind because of likes and dislikes. Now the delusion is removed by contemplation and reflection, and I am free here and now. Eh? I at least for this moment, and I continue the practice. And when I continue the practice, I bring those six treasures in my daily life. Now look at the positive aspect Shravanam and Mananam. Shravanam, I say I don't know, let me know it. And Mananam means I don't understand, let me understand. Contemplate, uh, bring clarity and conviction. And then, once I follow these principles, I ask the mind to remove all the doubts about the real self, create more doubts about the world. Both go together. So, the greater the doubts, with any of your friend, you say, oh, that let me keep a distance with that friend. So you live in into the world, but the world does not live in you. Then what happens now? See, other principles are integrated here. Then you minimize Rajoguna and Tamoguna. You start living in Satoguna. Satoguna, quality of the Satoguna is knowledge and happiness. So now you find that happiness, and that happiness is coming from Sama, the first treasure. It is here and now. It is not there. Now let us talk a bit about Viveka. Then we will come to these six treasures. So there is a Viveka in the material world, and there is a Viveka in the spiritual world. Viveka works all the time. If you are successful in the material world, it means you apply Viveka in the world. So we have to apply Viveka in our daily life to study ourselves. Take one example. I have a lot of examples from India. So a guy was earning 20,000 Indian rupees per month. He came to me. He's still with me. He attends weekly sessions, group sessions. So I think it has been almost 25 years ago. He's an engineer, so he told me I'm getting another opportunity, and I my income would be 50,000 rupees instead of 20,000. What should I do? I said, you have come to me to get a confirmation that I should pick a job which makes you earn 50,000 rupees. So simple. So don't seek a confirmation, but ask yourself what to ask. No, no, it's very good. It's very good. And then I said, no need to ask, you join it. So what happened now? 20,000 rupees. He was working only for 8 hours. The time to go to that workplace was only 30 minutes. He had enough time to relax, to be with the family. Now he's getting 50,000 rupees. He's working for 2 hours, 1.5 hour going, 1.5 hour coming to that place, add another 3 hours, 13 hours. Then he returns home totally fatigued. But 50,000 rupees. 50,000 rupees, 16 hours. And I'm not telling you the name, but what happened now? After 10 years of constant working for 16 years and fatigue and anxiety and the stress, I have reasons to believe it is because of these things he was diagnosed with cancer. I know that many people don't believe it, but you don't take a right action. Your Viveka worked in the material world only with reference to the wealth. Anyhow, lucky enough, he returned again to this journey of the self discovery, and the cancer was totally gone. So he told me, now I realize what you have been telling me, and I did never realize this. So now he calmed down and he is attending this session. See that. So there is a discernment or viveka in the material world also. Oh, you're selling me a phone. Yes, it cost me $100, and other guy is selling me at $150. But I don't see the quality. My mind is attached to the wealth. I don't see why, how. I don't ask. And then I get into trouble. It's a real life story of this guy. So now we have to apply the same logic carefully, contemplation and reflection about what is real and unreal in Viveka in the journey of the self discovery. I have an anxiety, let me contemplate and reflect. I have one student now. He's very intelligent, extremely intelligent. But he approached me only because that he has a tremendous fear. He's hardly 30, 35 years old, earning good money. Everything is good. Fear. So some people get caught in the fear because of the causal body. So he has a discernment and a viveka in the material world. What he is doing, what he is thinking, but his mind is full of fear. What will happen? At the same time, he's earning a good money. What will happen? Unknown fears are there, unnecessary, unwanted. So he's wasting money paying me. But that is a good point because that is how I live. So there is a design by the world, and the existence designs the same thing. So now coming to the viveka of the and the self discovery. I know anxiety is there. Let me contemplate and reflect. I have a fear. Let me contemplate and reflect. So I will only contemplate and reflect when the teacher gives you the sense of understanding that there is a real self which cannot be fearful. You start from there. Medical science starts from, oh, what is the outer condition, what happened to you, blah blah, lot of things. So here the viveka applies to self and the non-self. Is the fear my real self? No. How? Why it is not me? Let me understand. So when I understand, there is a clarity that this is not me. Fear is gone. Anxiety is gone. Anxiety is gone. So you are looking for peace and happiness instead of 50,000 rupees. You were in peace and happiness earning 20,000 rupees. You are in stress, you get a dividend for that. You get a benefit of that. You get an interest of earning 50,000 rupees as anxiety, duality, conflict, and lot of stuff. I have to work, and sometime he used to tell me that he has to stay there. He is working in a five-star hotel as an engineer, and he said, no, I have to do this. Otherwise, so the Viveka means that what Viveka means, that is what we say, real and unreal. And that is why we say unreal is constantly changing. It gives me the pleasure, mind moves to the pain. Again, I escape the pain to in search of the pleasure. I have to make an effort. I'm fatigued, I'm tired. So likes and dislikes, desire, pride, delusion, everything starts working. I can give a break at any time, provided I really understand. I contemplate. It does not mean that I'm not working. I let me continue to work, but I have to see where I am. So, the discernment or viveka in the self discovery demands that there should be a right knowledge. There should be a right knowledge. I should apply the right knowledge with Shreyas in day to day life. Ego says, why not be big by wealth and the knowledge? It will happen. If I have knowledge, if I work hard, if I'm ready, it will happen. But let it happen in peace and happiness. Shreyas. Let it happen in peace and happiness. It should not happen in praise, pleasure seeking mind. It should not happen that whatever is changing in the world is real. That much is required in the mind and the intellect. Do whatever we want to do. King Janaka was one of the greatest master enlightenment. He was ruling the king. As a king, he has to punish people. He has to protect his kingdom. He has to manage his finances, everything. But he was doing, but at the same time, he was one of the greatest masters. See the beauty. We get little bit scared that if I don't do this thing, then I will lose money. No, you will get more money. That doubt is still there. The doubt in the mind remains there. No, my friend, once your consciousness allows to manifest in the mind and the intellect and day to day life, you will see an opportunity. Greatest master Janaka, I remember, so he invited 10 great masters of his time, Yajnavalkya, etc., etc. And then, because there was a meeting of the masters. So one master among the 10 master said Ashtavakra, who was his teacher, that why the Janaka is sitting at the highest chair. We are monks, we are masters, we should sit there. Ashtavakra said, okay, let us wait for a week. We have a week to be here in this big palace. So the next day, what Ashtavakra planned, he said, let us go to the remote river to take a bath. You see, that tells you the Viveka, what level of Viveka we have in our life. And then they all entered into the river taking bath, and they saw the palace there. And the Ashtavakra huh, told some of the servants that when we are taking the bath, what you should do, you should, huh, you should burn one part of the palace. So the palace was on fire, the smoke was going on, and Janaka was enjoying the water in the river. He was enjoying, he was totally absorbed into the meditative state. All the nine masters ran from the river. Ashtavakra said, why? Oh, we have to save our small bag where we have kept two pairs of the clothes. Ashtavakra said, hold on. That is why Janaka, look at the Janaka, is enjoying his what he is doing. And you came out of the river. Look at his palace is burning. You have only two pairs of clothes that is even if they burn, the Janaka will give you. That is the power of discernment. No, it does not mean that we should leave the palace burning. It is the other way, that I should have that endurance level by following, my intellect is following the Shreyas, and it has a right knowledge, the real self, and the what is not real self. So that is, now you have understood the Viveka in the material world. We always apply. The moment you create a project, it is Viveka. It is definitely Viveka. You follow a system in the business, that is Viveka. So it is not a big deal. But Viveka in the journey of the self discovery is different from the Viveka in the journey in the material world. Now, this Viveka awakens our intellect. Viveka makes our intellect Manisha. You have heard that. So go back and understand. Oh, why to go back? Manisha is simple, pure. It only looks for, it lives for real. Here is real, and here it is unreal. Who does not know what is real and unreal? Who does not know that the guy who takes birth has to die? Who does not know that even if we claim, you are my honey, I love you the most, and still I find that we both are separate. We both have unique characteristics and attitude. We both are evolving at a different pace. Who does not know? I used to ask my friend that when I used to give lessons of couples here in India, I said, can you tell me you love your spouse? Yes, I like it. But tell me, do you trust your spouse 100%? Nobody raised their hand. You don't trust. But one guy raised the hand. I asked another question. Now tell me, my friend, have you ever fought with your spouse? No, we always fight every day. I said, then you don't trust 100%. The guy you trust 100%, there is no fight, there is no anxiety, there is no duality, there is no conflict. That is why you don't love 100%. So that is our IQ. We are talking of Manisha. What is the meaning? Manisha means intellect plus Shreyas plus Viveka. That is Manisha. And material world, you have IQ. And still, in the material world, your viveka separates one changing entity from the other changing entity. In Manisha, you separate what is changing from what is not changing. What is not changing is in me, and what is changing is outside in the world, including body, breath, mind, intellect, money, prestige, recognition, wealth, etc., etc. IQ is blind. Manisha always keeps the eyes of the mind open. That is the beauty. Because the Manisha keeps your eyes of the mind open, that is why you don't get upset. IQ creates an ego, the position and the authority, and long list. Because it is separating from one changing to the other changing. You see, I have become, what we say, we use the word, I am self made man. What do you mean by self made man? Oh, I found I had no opportunity in the childhood, young age, and now I'm a millionaire. One change from the other change. You see that? Self made man. So, first you discover yourself, and then I will say that you are self made man. So, we don't talk. I'm talking to you openly
But
because,
intellect and Manisha, in any case, service the ego. Without ego,
Manish,
they cannot exist.
yes, Manisha is a pure ego because it lives constantly with Shreyas and it is searching the real self. We need a pure ego to discover our real self. Because I'm a seeker. Seeker means ego, but it
Yes.
is pure. It is pure. So, Manisha, A has to be there. Manisha says, study, learn more, understand more, contemplate more, practice more. The Manisha gives me a true faith in the real self as you continue. But IQ breaks the faith. You gain the faith. You breaks the faith. Gain the faith. Oh, I prayed. I went to the church and temple. I prayed to the God, and He gave me $1 million. And then I prayed. This time the God is not favoring me. Let me understand myself and the God first. Let me use Manisha. So when I use Manisha, then God does not become the means for my wealth. Then God is a goal. Real self is the goal then. But if I use IQ, God is another tool, another device, like a smartphone. I have come to you, I prayed to you, you gave me this thing, now you give me this thing. Are you getting it? So, all the religions, organized religions, so called, the true religion is not like this. All the organized religions have this format. Oh, you have lot of problem. Come and pray. What the hell I should pray, God? I created my problem because of ignorance. I have to solve it. I created because of ignorance. Let me drop the ignorance. Let me enter into Manisha. See that? Yes. In order to get rid of that ego, I go to the church, I go to the God and say, you are everything. I don't depend on you. I know I don't depend on my ego. You are the greatest. In order to transform my ego, replace my ego. That is a good way to pray. But if I start demanding, then there is a problem. Self is the king. So, when we drop pleasure seeking mind caused by the senses and the mind, Viveka dawns.
But any god is king of causal body. So when I do him the nitya and nitya karma, cause of this nitya and nitya karma is belongs to the causal body. So it is the best way to service the god.
Best way to serve the God, don't demand from the God. The very demand is a desire. Desire is a delusion. It causes the pride. And with that pride, I say to the God, I prayed you last year, you gave me 1 million, and then I prayed you 10 times. I don't believe you. Who the hell you are? So that is not Viveka. So Viveka makes you your friend, and the lack of Viveka makes you your enemy. Viveka can drop pride, delusion, and ignorance, and like darkness dissolves in the light, so Viveka dissolves ignorance. You can be in meditation here and now. Merely absence of darkness is not the light, because without eyes we cannot confirm that there is a darkness or light. Merely controlling thoughts do not lead to peace, but Viveka. Only the Viveka. So, what happens? The Viveka you contemplate with awareness, not by habit or unconscious mind. That is another problem. No, I'm living in Viveka. Everything is real. I know and I understand. No, I have to do it every day. I have to do it every moment in my life. There is a real self. The rest is changing. Do I recognize my body is changing? Yes. So what happens to changing in changes in the body? Sometime I'll be sick, sometime I'll be healthy. So I apply Viveka there. So okay, I'm sick, let me remain calm. I'm healthy, let me remain calm. It teaches you to go beyond these dualities of the mind because of the likes and dislikes. Then what happens? Your intellect, your manisha awakens to reality. What is that reality? That you do not allow the senses to run after the object. That is first level of vairagya, the dispassion. You do not allow your sense organs to run after any object. The second level of vairagya is that now that object is still present in front of you, you are not attached. First is that you make an effort by allowing the viveka to enter. You start contemplating. Oh, I was watching a Hollywood film and the beautiful woman is there, and I forgot myself. So I don't allow the sense organ to run after anything. First stage by contemplation. And then the second stage, now everything is there. I'm not attached. Finished. Finished. I'm free. I am enjoying. So the masters have categorized lower vairagya, lower dispassion, because viveka is not done at the highest level. So what is lower vairagya? I have been eating sugar, and one day doctor said if you don't stop sugar, you will die in 2 years. You are potential diabetic. So I take goodbye to the sugar. That is lower vairagya. You have taken vairagya, dispassion, because of the fear, not because of viveka. You see that? Higher vairagya, not interested in pleasure. Now you know. Okay, everything is okay. I will eat whatever I'm eating, but I know the pleasure comes from within, even if I'm eating my choice of the food. Huh? Did we cover that? Rati, Tushti, and Trapti?
Yeah.
So you see that why they are explained? I think these masters were masters of even pleasure also, because they might have experienced, then they have observed, and then they have discovered the principle. You see that we are not happy with the pleasure. We go on repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. And they discovered there is nothing in it. These are the three kinds of pleasure. See that? So that is higher vairagya. And now the highest vairagya, not interested in the pleasure, but you enjoy everything in the world. Not interested in the world, but you enjoy the world. Why? The world is not living in you. You are living in the world. You are playing with the world. Remember, Nitya and Nitya Karma. You are living in the world casually, playing your, performing your duty. You see, what happens to the life? Life becomes a play and a fun. Calmness. Calmness is there because I'm performing my duty. You will say during the lesson, hold on, let me return, going to the restroom. There is no problem. Nitya karma, nitya karma. So the same thing, you do all the karma, and that helps you to purify the mind. That helps you to purify the mind, and that mind is purified, leads to, it starts the manisha, that intellect, and the mind starts awakening to the six treasures. Six treasures. Regular viveka, regular vairagya practice makes the six treasures to take birth in the mind. So, sama, dama, uparati, titiksha, and shraddha, samadhan. It is opposite of six enemies. Now see that. But without practicing viveka and vairagya means shravanam. Also, we have to listen again and again in a different way. Expression is different, so it hits the mind. The mind, because of one impression, is so deep that you heard in one way, it does not make you understand clearly. You are listening in a different way. Oh, the mind clicks. Oh, yes, I now understand. It clicks. So, and then you also destroy, also start destroying the eight factors that causes the suffering: object, attachment or detachment, then desire, delusion, pride, jealousy, loss of memory, loss of intellect, ignorance, and that ignorance causes the suffering according to Krishna. So now you understand instantly. You have, I would say, what I can say. Can I use the word intuition here to explain? You had a flash of intuition in your intellect. No, mind, intellect says, don't do this, otherwise, you will go into anxiety. Maintain that calmness. Don't think like this. Don't speak like this. Don't act like this. You see that what you're doing? Eight factors. You are dropping the eight factors that is causing the suffering. You are dropping the eight factors that is dominating, going to dominate your causal body. It is here and now. You are living into that. Oh my goodness. No, 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 no. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's good. Calm down. Someone says you are crazy. Okay, thank you very much. Calmness is more important than making you clear that I'm not crazy. Because if I make myself that how I am not crazy, I'm already crazy. Don't make it clear. Don't make it clear. Do you see that? Do you see the mind has gone much deeper? Mind has gone much deeper. Why the mind has gone much deeper? Because it is pure now. Why the intellect is contemplating and reflecting at the same moment? Because it lives with Shreyas. It lives with the Shreyas. Then it has the Viveka. it has the viveka, it has the vairagya. When it has the vairagya, then what happens? It has the then you are able to what? Awaken to the six treasures. This is the beauty of the journey.